Hello. So in today's session we will be covering the concept of friction theory in module number 2 of subject tribology. What is adhesion? Whenever the two surfaces are loaded, although the surfaces look to be flat, if we see at the microscopic level, there will be peaks and valleys on the surfaces which are termed as asperities. You can see in the figure the asperities of one surface is in contact with the other surface. So when these are loaded, the intimate contact occurs at the peaks of these asperities, and the real contact, that means area of contact, will be lesser than the apparent area of the surfaces or the nominal area of the surfaces. So therefore the pressure at the points of the real contact of these asperities will be very high, since they are touching each other, and the atoms of one surface are in very close proximity to the other surface, and the surfaces are very clean, without any chemical films, oxides and any gases. So this type of adhesion will be higher in such conditions, and especially when they are subjected to vacuum conditions, again the adhesion will be higher. And if we want to separate the two surfaces, we need to exert sufficient force to slide them or to pull them from each other, and this can be easily demonstrated in laboratory conditions for some of the materials, some soft and ductile materials like lead and indium. And what happens is, the junctions will be formed where the asperities are in contact with each other under high loads, and they get cold welded, and its strength, the junctions produced, will be of high strength compared to the parent materials, and they offer significant resistance to the sliding of the materials. Deformation. So in the absence of any adhesion, friction or frictional resistance can be attributed to the deformation of the materials and its displacement during the relative motion between the surfaces. So this deformation between the two surfaces can be of two types. One is microscopic interaction, which is limited to only the asperities, and the second one is the macroscopic interaction, which may involve the ploughing or ploughing of the bulk material. So here the deformation can be limited to only the local spots where there are asperities, or it can also involve the removal of the material, bulk material, and sometimes the bulk material removed are often of the dimension of magnitude greater than that of the asperities, and these are deformation component. It is not independent of the adhesion component, and their contribution to friction may be sometimes significant, and it actually depends upon many parameters like surface roughness, hardness of the materials, and also on the shape, size, and also the hardness of the wear particles which may be trapped between the two surfaces. So sometimes because of the interaction between the two surfaces, some of the particles or asperities may get teared, so and form the wear particles. So that the friction coefficient actually varies depending upon the material pairs, and also on the conditions. Next is friction theories. So first one is Bowden and Tabor's adhesion theory. So as we have discussed previously, when the two surfaces are in contact with each other and are loaded, there is intimate contact that is that take place between the asperities, and the real area of contact will be very less compared to the apparent or nominal area of contact between the two surfaces, and also that the pressure at the point of contact between the asperities will be very high, so that the asperity tips of the softer material gets deformed plastically, and the plastic flow causes the total contact area to grow. So that means when the asperities are in contact with each other and are loaded, they undergo deformation or plastic deformation. So this and they also lead to the growth in the contact. Growth in the contact area take place by two means. One is by growth of the individual contact spots, and the second one is by initiation of the new contacts as the asperity gets deformed plastically. Okay, whenever the surfaces are in relative motion with respect to each other, new contacts may be formed. So this process continues until the total real area of contact is sufficient to support whatever the load that is applied elastically. So for an elastic plastic material, we can express the relation between the normal load. Okay, we can express the normal load as the product of the real area of contact into P naught, where P naught is nothing but the yield pressure of the softer material which is in contact with the other material. And as the yield pressure of the softer material is actually very close to the hardness H, capital H, so therefore normal load can also be written as, we can replace P naught by H, and therefore W becomes the product of the area and hardness H. So as the plastic deformation continues and becomes severe, the asperity junctions get cold welded, and there will be strong adhesive bonds formed at those junctions, and the force that is required to cause shear failure of these asperated junctions can be given by F suffix ADH refers to adhesion is equal to the product of the area A into S, where S refers to the shear strength of the softer material. Therefore, the coefficient of friction due to the adhesion can be given as mu suffix ADH refers to the adhesion is equal to F adhesion over W. So if we use this previous equations, F adhesion by W means A into S over A into H. That gives us S by H as the value of the coefficient, friction coefficient. So for most of the materials, this ratio, that is S by H, is almost constant, and this theory predicts value of coefficient of friction mu as 0.2. This theory is very simple, but it also has many inadequacies. So that is from this theory you can see that the coefficient of friction depends only on the property of the soft material. So but it is not so. From the experiments, okay, whatever is performed, we can see that the friction coefficient actually depends on the counterface or the meeting materials. And also under the normal atmospheric condition, the actual values of the friction coefficient, especially for the metallic materials, is found to be generally in the order of 0.5, but this theory predicts a coefficient of friction as 0.2. And also, whenever the materials are without are with some contaminants, some layers or some films, then we can see that the friction coefficients will be lesser. But friction coefficients can also be dependent upon the conditions like the vacuum conditions. Next is the modified adhesion theory or the junction growth theory. So some of the drawbacks of the simple adhesion theory led to the development of this modified adhesion theory. The persons, again Bowden and Tabor, they modified their earlier theory considering the effect of both the normal and the tangential loads. In the previous theory, only the effect of the normal load was taken. So consider an element which is subjected to uniaxial compression, so which leads to a normal stress P0 on that element, and I also assume that that material is on the point of yielding. Now if a tangential stress or tangential load is applied, then there will be tangential stress, that means the shear stress that is applied on the material, and for that material to remain at the point of yielding, so the normal stress will have to reduce to some value, say P1, and if the normal load which is applied on the material remains constant, then that means the area of contact must grow, and this phenomenon is known as the junction growth. From Tresca's criterion, we can have a relation between these P1 S and P0 as P1 square plus 4 S square is equal to P naught square. And we know that P1 is because of the normal load, so that is nothing but the normal stress, that is W by A, and S is nothing but the shear stress, that is given by the applied tangential force over the area, F by A. So if we substitute these values of P1 is equal to W over A and S is equal to F over A in the above equation, the Tresca's criterion, we can get the expression W square plus 4F square is equal to A square into P naught square. So that means in any of the experiment, sliding experiment, okay, so the value of the W is actually constant, whereas P naught is actually the property of the material. So therefore, if we see at this equation, the real area of contact A has to increase with the increase in the value of the tangential force F. So that means the ratio of this F divided by W, that is the, we can say, the instantaneous value of coefficient of friction, will also increase with the increase in the tangential load. So this process can continue until the entire area of the specimen is in contact. But generally the ductility of the material and the presence of some of the weak interfacial films actually limit it. So this is about the modified theory, adhesion theory, or the junction growth theory, which is proposed by Bowden and Tabor. And here it says that there is an increase in the contact area or the junctions. So next one is deformation theory or ploughing. So in cases where the adhesion is less or small, so ploughing or ploughing becomes a dominant component of the friction. And if one of the surfaces in sliding contact is harder than the other, that means the asperities of the harder surface, then it may penetrate into the softer surface and plough into the softer surface or plough into the softer surface and produce grooves and remove material from the softer surface. So this process may also occur because of the result of some of the wear particles which might get entrapped between the two surfaces. And the interaction of the two rough surfaces may also result in the mechanical interlocking on a micro scale or a macro scale. So therefore this theory is called as deformation theory. So this process of ploughing or ploughing not only increases the friction, but it also creates the wear particles which in turn increase the value of friction and wear between the surfaces. So in order to reduce this ploughing component or ploughing component of friction, it can reduce by reducing the surface roughness, and by using the same hardness components or surfaces, and by also reducing the possibility of forming of wear particles, or by removing the wear particles from the interface.